In case you haven't been keeping track, 2024 has been a renaissance in the horror movie genre. There's been so many original, fresh ideas that have come out this year, and this next movie is no exception. Let's get dark and twisted with Nicolas Cage in Longlegs. Longlegs is a refreshing, original horror story. It's timeless. It feels like an instant horror classic, and it has Nicolas Cage as you've never seen him before. And I know that term has been said probably more than once in the past, but I promise you, never have you seen him like this. Let's talk about the good stuff about it. It feels like it came from the 70s or the 80s. The tone of the film, the cinematography of the film, the filming techniques that they use, you have seen before. They are elements of good horror movie making. They use them often and frequently, and they work. They are all very effective. I'm talking about slow panning shots. I'm talking about inverting the camera. I don't want to give too much away, so I'm going to give away the things that don't kind of spoil the plot or anything. Trickery with some scenes. Do not blink because your eyes may deceive you. And these are all things that you've seen from your past favorite films. The Exorcist, Halloween, Silence of the Lambs. I'm not just talking about the story, but the way that the film is shot. The actual cinematography of it all is just brilliantly done and executed. The score is incredible. At times, it is absolutely haunting, as it should be. And other points in the film, they use popular tunes from the 60s or 70s. But there are moments where the film is just completely unsettling. You are so uncomfortable with the tone and the mood of the film, and it's largely due to the score that's being presented. The story is unique. Now, there are elements that you've probably seen in the past. I'm not going to speak any details about the story. I really would prefer audiences do not craft the format in which they think this movie will be in before they watch it. What does that mean? If I tell you it's a slasher film, you're going to think you're going in to watch a slasher film. If I tell you it's a paranormal film, then you're going to expect to see paranormal elements of the movie. I'd rather you go in not expecting either of those things or anything in between. Go in with just an open mind, and you're not anticipating anything to occur or happen or see any elements of what genre your brain is preconceived to think about. Go in just along for the ride. I feel like it's much better that way. It's a better experience for the viewer, and I think it's going to be more enjoyable for you if you go about it that way. Micah in this lead role is wonderful. She plays this character perfectly. She's unsure most of the time. She plays this detective with this unusual ability to kind of see cases differently than everyone else. It's so good. It's refreshing. I keep using that word because I feel like there are multiple ideas that we've seen in the past, but not constructed in the way they're using it now. And it's brilliantly done by Oz Perkins, who both wrote and directed this film. Finally, let's get to Nicolas Cage, who is phenomenal in this role. I will not, and I should not, give you any details about his performance. And I'm sure he is, because I've spoken to him before. I've heard about his sort of intensity to his approach to filming and in crafting his art. And I feel like he probably had a good idea or input on how his character should be. And I applaud his effort. Honestly, it feels like in the last 2 to 4 years, Nick Cage has actually been like challenging himself, not just going out for like the big popular, blockbuster role, but actually pushing himself into getting into things you wouldn't anticipate him to. He did the Dracula film where he played Dracula. He played a movie where he played himself, and that sounds silly, but it's getting outside of his comfort zone. It sounds silly, he's playing himself, but it takes a lot to kind of play a version of yourself that you feel like the public sees and it's not really you. You know what I mean? So this movie is another one of those roles where I feel like he's been challenging himself and pushing himself in the projects that he's choosing. Longlegs, I highly recommend you watch it. I give it 4 out of 5 stars. It is at times intense. It is at times very brutal. I don't want you to go in anticipating that it's one of those films where it's just jump scares left and right, because that at times can be too gimmicky, or it can be overwhelming with the sheer number that some movies incorporate that element into. This doesn't have a lot of that. This is just well crafted from start to finish. It is an experience. It is a roller coaster ride, and you need to go along with it. It's so well done. It's just this raw, almost self-contained story. There's only a few, players in this game, this mind twisted game that you're gonna see, and I highly recommend you watch it. Longlegs, in theaters this Friday. Go check it out.